What was Christ like?
Christ?
Yeah.
He was a drunk.
Okay. All right. Well,
And then he hung out with prostitutes.
Okay.
And all of a sudden he got an idea. He said, "Hey, you know what? If we light up this fucking wacky tobacco we got here, and I'll go ahead and tell people that I'm going to change the fucking water into wine by dropping some LSD in it because they'll believe it, we're going to have a religion."
Now,
and that's exactly what he did.
Now, when he was carrying the cross, were you on the side of whipping him, or were you on the side of, "Hey, buddy, have a drink"?
You know, that's a good question because, you know,
I thought so.
I remember a time when I saw the guy and he was dressed nice and neat and all that shit.
Right.
And then when I saw him all filthy carrying that fucking cross, I said, "Damn, dude, what the fuck happened?" And he said, "The LSD Christian religion didn't work out well." And so I kind of distanced myself because I thought, well, you know, if they're going to put this motherfucker up on a cross and if they stick his ass upside down, I don't want to be on the cross next to him.
When you are at the point of carrying a cross,
You know,
the correct response
here he is walking with
didn't work out.
cross. And what happened to all those nice dreads he had and all those nice things? You know, he was talking about seeing things and the holy and having the fucking spirit of the light and all that shit. I didn't see no spirit of light. All I saw was an old fucking dirty old cross and a guy in shreds bleeding walking up the thing. And when I asked him what the fuck happened, he said the LSD fucking thing just didn't work out. And I said, "Okay, thank you. You have a good day."
You have a good day, sir.
Oh,
And
my
I'll
God.
Be seeing you soon.
I'm not going to be strung up on a cross with that motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, you got to look out for number one.
That's the deal. Hey, look at these motherfuckers preaching, right? They get up there preaching, talking about us. I'm the speaker for Jesus, for Christ. I'm the speaker for fucking God. Yeah, he's speaking, all right.
He's got a lot of them.
He's speaking to you so that you can throw $2 or $3 grand in his pocket so he can go get his dick sucked. That's what the deal is there. So you know what? I know God don't need no motherfucking spokesman. If I want to talk to God, I drop a few fucking tabs of DMT, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a whole bunch of gods.
So now, when you were hanging out with John Smith and he had those rocks to translate what God was telling him about the Mormon beliefs,
Yeah?
was he high?
That motherfucker was not high. He was stone cobra soul, stone cobra. Shit, I can't even say it correctly.
Stone cold sober. We'll go with that.
Because now the Thorazine is starting to kick in.
Yeah, you have to be
He was
stone cold sober to actually be able to say stone cold sober.
And he looked at me with a straight face and he said, "I got to put this in a way to make it clear that it ain't about God, it's about the hoes." All right? It's just that simple. God ain't got shit to do with this. It's about the hoes.
Okay.
And that's how that worked out. That's why you think the motherfucking Mormons got 15, 16 wives, and they alternate. Motherfucker will say, "You know, honey, you was my wife for what, 3 years? And now you looking kind of raggedy and shit, your tits all saggy.
Your pussy's all blown out.
Marry your daughter now because she's looking just about the right age, and she's got the nipples that are nice and perky."
I mean, I know they have multiple wives, but they didn't fuck their own daughters.
You kidding?
Oh my God!
This is
I don't know.
This you're talking to Mormons
breaking news, folks.
I'm learning from you. You're the old man that's been through all this.
The Mormons believe that this is the case.
Okay.
If you came out of a pussy, don't matter whose pussy you coming out of. If you in the family, you good to go.
So you're saying that the Mormons nowadays are probably inbred.
You've heard the expression, the family that fucking comes together stays together.
Okay. All right. I'm taking notes.
Take notes, man, and then go ahead and run up to Utah because that's the place to be at.
Oh, no, they're all over the place in the U.S.
No, Utah. In Utah.
No, Utah.
Utah.
You try to run that in Colorado, they're going to lock your ass up. But in Utah, they don't fuck with you.
I had no idea we were going to get this history lesson.
Man, look, I'm learning a lot from JaPaNDuDe. I'm glad that he's so open with what he's witnessed in his time.
I also want to say we've never actually seen pictures of the IV bags, but he paints
if you want to see it, I go run right now next door to the room. I got to hang it up on the wall in the other room because, you see, I got them hanging up over there because that's where I stand to look out the window so I can start to see shit. Right, because it's got Thorazine, it's got the fucking morphine, and then I got a little DMT in there from time to time, and then I got that mixed in with either the Captain Morgan Spice Rum or the 151, and so eventually I start to see a few things. I actually start to have conversations with people that are not there,
like Jesus.
And I'm thinking that they're just people in other dimensions.
That could be.
And it's just a weird thing because I know they're talking to me because they're writing fucking letters on paper right in front of me. And I'm looking and saying, but that can't be. Where did that paper come from?
Are they usually nice to you, or have you had conflicts?
Some of them can be pretty nasty.
Ooh.
Some of them say, motherfucker, I remember when you called me a nigger and I didn't like that. And then they kind of dragged me around a bit for a quick ride, I've had people say, you called me a heeb and I didn't like that. So not all of them are happy.
I can
Some
understand
of them are nice, but most of them can be pretty nasty.
Now,
if they remember what you've done to them.
Have any of them been like hot chicks, and have you got an oral from them?
That's a good question. That's
what I said.
Unfortunately, I've never had any of the good-looking chicks come up to me, but I've had a few succubi.
I wanted to know.
Suck on my dick and shit.
I wanted to know if interdimensional sex was better than just regular boring old sex.
It's not. It's different.
Okay.
It's different because it's more than the carnal pleasures, because it's going to also include your psyche, and if you believe in the so-called spirit, it includes that as well. So it's kind of a threefold thing.
Well, all right.
All I can tell you is if you've ever had your toes sucked by a good-looking chick and she tongued them good, it's something like that.
All right. I haven't had that experience, but I'll go with.
You need
I
to
agree.
get that checked out, because you have that done once, you're going to remember it.
See, this goes back to what I was going to say, but JaPaNDuDe wouldn't let me finish it. We don't need to get our toes sucked, or see the IV bags, or go live with Jesus, because he paints these pictures with his words, and we feel like we're there. We're experiencing these toe suckings and IV baggings and the drugs.
I felt
working out the right way.
It's either that or you're on the other line calling 911 saying you need to get you need to call over there the Japanese police, because that guy up on the 35th floor is insane.
I
Nakatomi Towers.
I felt like in his story about Jesus that I was also standing in the line watching him carry the cross and having him stop, look at JaPaNDuDe and go, "It didn't work out, buddy."
Yeah, but that's I'm telling you, that's what he said to me. He looked at me and said, I thought it was going to be a great success. I was pushing the DMT. I was pushing, at that point it was the LSD. I was pushing the LSD. I made people see water turn to fucking wine. People were having a good old time. I was hanging out with thieves and liars and cheaters, and everybody was in a good mood. And then one day, that guy fucking Pontius Pilate said, we ain't digging that shit. Your Jew brothers are saying they don't like your behavior. Yeah. And you put me in a bad spot because I'm the governor here. And speaking of the gov, that motherfucker that owes me some money.
He doesn't exist anymore. Stop it.
Yep, he's
Speaking
dead.
of the gov, right? He said you put me in a bad spot, and I'm going to have to fucking make a choice. But you see, Pontius Pilate was smart because he didn't want to put the blame. He didn't want to get blamed for it, so he put it on the people. And he said, who would you like to see strung up? Or in this case, who would you like to see be freed? And of course, they went with with that other asshole, and they cut him loose. And then Jesus Christ, he got the cross. he got to walk with the cross, and they sent him down that little road. And when I ran into him, and I saw the son of a bitch, and he said, man, LSD, he said, Tim Leary gonna have to, he gave me some foresights on a few things, including saying that Einstein is gonna say spooky science at a distance. So there you have it, among other things.
Now, I know in the Bible it tells tales of him healing lepers, but I think it's a typo, and he actually was just healing leopards.
Yeah.
Now,
there's so many leopards around these days. It's overpopulation.
Which was it? Was he working miracles, or did he just work at the zoo?
It was that he was pushing leapers.
Oh, leapers! He was pushing them.
He said, fuck it, you want to jump? Let me give you a hand. So he was giving a hand to the leapers.
What a pleasant guy. It's so nice of him.
He's helpful.
He was straightforward about it. He said, look, if you're going to fucking jump...
push you straight forward so you actually go up.
Just get going.
Why are you jumping? I have nothing to live for. Good, get your ass over there.
If you got nothing to work... Look, if you ain't getting your dick sucked, or you got one of those small Jewish dicks, then go ahead and go for it. And if you're afraid, I'll give you a kick in the ass, and I'll make sure that you're off and you're on your way.
If you take the ruler out and measure your dick, and it does not go past the small Jewish dick,
let
jump.
me tell you something. The small Jewish dick don't need no measuring, because when you look down, all you're going to see is balls and what looks like a little red pimple. That's how you know you got a small Jewish dick, okay?
Well, fortunately for me, I don't know, because I have a stomach.
Well, and that makes it even worse.
And you're not Jewish.
And I'm not Jewish.
Well, that makes it even worse. But that's okay. That's how it goes. I meant to ask, how is the missus these days, the Twitchery? How's she doing there, Squidward? Is she doing okay?
She may be dead. I'm not sure. I have to check.
Oh, come on now.
I have to check.
Come on now. I've given you guys 6 months before the breakup, and you've already passed the 6 month mark. So I think there's still some life there. You might still be able to make the 3-year mark, but my money is still on the breakup. And it's not going to be pretty, because she's going to take you for every fucking dime you got.
Well,
so if you ain't got your shit hidden, if you haven't already started putting shit away, I suggest you start doing it now.
It's all in my anus. She's not going to go in there.
Nah, she don't. You kidding? She gonna put on one of them fucking cooking gloves and reach right up in there with a little Crisco and pull it all out.
Now, is this an overall hatred for all women, or just Twitches in general?
No, I love Twitches, man. Don't get me wrong.
Well, then I don't get it.
See, I'm not blaming Twitches in that department. I'm blaming the fucking Squidward.
Oh, you think he'll be the cause?
He's out there every fucking Friday night doing mojitos with these other hoes and shit, and Twitches is at home wondering why her husband is not at home giving her what she needs while he's out there doing those mojitos
why are you
with
having
these people.
mojitos with hoes and not inviting me?
Man, with the hoes. He's got a whole bunch of hoes all over the joint. You didn't know that?
Because the hose
He
is
had
for
that
me.
broad Kelly sucking on his dick left and right. So I'm not even going to go there with that one now. And then after he told Kelly to take a walk, the woman gained 500 pounds because she got depressed. So I'm not even going to go there.
Back on our original subject, when Jesus was carrying that cross, like I said, it feels like we were there. So he turned to me and he asked me, why back there when I was walking was there only one set of footprints? Why was I by myself? And I was like, well, Jesus said that's because I was carrying you. And he's like, no, you weren't. And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't.
Well, the thing about the one footsteps is that you had one guy in front with a fucking one of those goddamn straw brooms, cleaning it out.
Oh, yeah.
Cleaning it all out. And then you had another fucker behind him cleaning it out. So all you had was that one set of footsteps at any given time and nothing else. And anybody that tried to jump in there and put footsteps, they took their ass out to the back and chopped their head off. So that's the end of that. So that stopped that bullshit. So he wound up walking alone. The only ones that got to say anything were the women. That was it. They were the only ones that were allowed, and it was 3 of them. There was Mary, the hoe, his mother, who was also Mary, and another hoe, and some other fucking broad by the name of Esther, who had nothing to do with anything. She just wanted to get his robe. But that's how that goes.
Hi, I'm Esther.
Hey, she figured she can get a few dollars for it.
Are you guys going to use that robe after he dies?
She said, fuck nah. She was going to wash that up. She was going to wash it up and then dye it in red and say, see, that's Jesus' blood. This is his fucking robe. And I'll sell it for $3,000.
So you're saying...
Some fool would have paid for that shit.
You're saying that Jesus was a blood, not a crip.
No, Jesus was all about getting down. It's like the story of Muhammad. All right, you saw the stuff that thing they had on the internet about Muhammad.
Yeah, he was a good boxer.
Right, you heard the shit, right? You saw that story they put up in there, right?
Right, he was a boxer.
The innocence of the Muslims, or whatever the fuck they called it.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Fucking women, fucking boys, fucking this, fucking that. He could care less. All he wanted to do was to drink and fuck. And then one day, one guy said, you can't just do that. You got to come up with something to make people happy. So he said, all right, let's go ahead and tell him that God sent me down so that I can fuck everybody. And apparently everybody bought it.
Well, it's, I don't know if you're familiar with Bill Maher and his show, and I'm not a supporter of Bill Maher, but
Bill Moore?
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. I call him Bill Moore, the white-headed guy, fat guy that's supposed to be the fat version of that Anderson fella.
No, that's Michael Moore.
No, that's a different guy. That Michael Moore is that fucking liberal guy that likes to make up stories, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, go ahead. Tell me what you got with this guy.
So what I found interesting is, like, and again, I'm not a fan of him. I just like to see who he brings on the show and what is talked about. And I guess a lot of the stuff that I was kind of intrigued about was anything that he had pertaining to the Muslim belief and all that stuff. And what I thought was interesting is that he lumps all the Muslim stuff on the Quran or whatever that they believe in, and he's saying, he's like, it's in there, it's the rules. This is why people act this way, and he actually had a Muslim on there, and she's arguing. She's like, I'm not like everybody else. You're lumping us all into one thing. So then there's a Christian, and a Christian is sitting there saying, and taking Bill Maher's side, and I'm like, wait a minute, we could open up the Bible and find all kinds of fun things that they don't talk about when they preach, like how men should be owning women and how it promotes slavery in the Bible. Not to mention that they used it in the Crusades to kill people or convert them or kill them. But it just cracks me up that they can sit here and point at the Muslim belief and religion and all that. Now, I myself, I'm an atheist, but it's just kind of funny to watch people point
that's
fingers.
Another way of saying that you like to wipe your own anus. Good, keep going.
No, I just thought it was interesting. So, what's your take on that? What's your take on
it? Let me ask you this: who wrote the Bible?
Man.
The same guy who wrote the book.
Who wrote the Quran?
Man.
Who wrote all the fucking texts that have anything to do with religion?
Man.
So what does that tell you?
They were high as fuck, and they started writing.
They were dropping them fucking LSD tabs, dropping the DMT, drinking the wine, and they said, we're going to write it our way, and that's the way it's going to be. This is my take on it. If there is such a thing as a higher power, a God, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, he don't need no spokesperson. Mm-hmm. You want to talk to God, you can talk to God directly. You don't need fucking any cocksucker to come up there on a pulpit and tell you that Jesus Christ or Muhammad or any of these motherfuckers are coming back to tell you how to do your business. It's just that simple. But people are gullible. Who was it that said it best? That guy, that Barnum Bailey fella, what did he say? That
It's the greatest show on earth.
A certain type of fool is born every 5 seconds. What did he call him?
JaPaNDuDe, I believe he called him.
Besides JaPaNDude,
Was
he
it
called the other. What did he call him?
Sucker. A sucker's
Sucker
born every
A
minute.
sucker, and there's a sucker to be had everywhere. Because that's just the way it is. That's why we got magicians, right? They don't call them Digitalis for nothing.
I'd never heard them called that before.
And that's what they're called.
It sounded like a remix.
Because they got their fingers in one hand going up your ass while the other fingers are in your wallet pulling out all your money.
Good thing
They're
I
not
was an altar
stupid.
boy. I don't need fingers
That's
in my
another
ass.
story for another day. I don't want to interrupt your show. You know me. Every time I get up on Party FM while you're trying to do your poor show,
But wait.
I get on and you lose every listener because they say, Jesus Christ, why do you need to bring that drunk, crazy son of a bitch on your show?
Because it's entertaining.
I don't know if it's entertaining. It might be entertaining for you guys, but I think your listeners are like, Jesus Christ, man, we need to send some hate mail to that guy.
It's not that we lost them. We know exactly where they are.
And you're not really interrupting if he calls you. It's not
Right,
interrupting.
right. That's why I called you, to ensure that you didn't interrupt.
Well, that's why when you had called, I had 9 people at that moment, and they all said, can we go on? And I said, well, let me just ask first, because the last time he had complained that we went on and we totally destroyed his fucking show, so let me just check on that. And now they're still waiting.
He was
all
actually
9 of them are still waiting over there.
He was
And
actually looking forward
I'm
to you having these people.
Yep.
That's what he was telling me when he was calling. He's like, I hope he's got like 20 people.
I saw that, and I got fucking 9. I got 9 of them right now. At the moment, let me see. I got Todd. I got Mary. I got Jose. I got DJ Miracle, Mickey Ann. I got Frank. I got Patrick, and I got Yvonne out of Mexico, and a few other folks. And at the moment, I didn't want to bring them in because I didn't want them to distract and destroy what show you got left. But on the next time, if you give me advance warning and we come up with some kind of topic, then I can bring in the real crew. And what I like to do really is a prison show.
A prison show?
Straight up prison show.
Cool.
I bring in the brothers and bring in the fucking skinheads, and we have 5 of this and 5 of that, and we get to throw in some of them hoes that are getting fucked in the ass. They got the wigs and shit, and we let them have their time on air.
Wait a sec.
Quite a scenario.
Do I have to try and dominate Squig during the show?
Whatever the fuck you want, but
I'm just wondering. Because as the pecking order goes, he's my bitch.
But
if we're in prison,
dominating the Squig. Who's the one that's got the needles that are plugging him in his ass?
The dog.
All right. You know who it is? It's Twitches. You know the story.
But you're thinking he's gonna like fart one time when she's back there, and it's gonna end the relationship.
Nah, that don't go nowhere. You know that the reason why she's there is because she wants to hear him squeal and fart like a fucking pig.
By the way,
she's hitting him with them fucking needles. She's saying, "Squeal for me, motherfucker! I want to hear you squeal."
By the way, I'm not your bitch, Hensky, because remember, I'm already called for by the prisoner guy.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
That don't mean
another great flashback of something we don't have.
Right?
Okay.
Remember, I'm sweet meat over here.
It's called sharing. So you split it down the middle. He gets to fuck you on Tuesday. The other guy gets you on Thursday.
The other guy's in prison. I'm not. So we're not going to prison.
Then all you motherfuckers can go up and have that visitation shit and have the 3 of yous in the room.
Well, all right.
They have those things for the gays these days. That's the wonderful fucking country that's called the United States of America. That everybody can do whatever the fuck they want, so long as you're paying your taxes.
Right.
The moment that you tell the government you don't like something, that's when they're going to lock your ass up and nobody's ever going to hear from you again.
I see.
That's why I live in Japan.
Sorry, we're out of time.